Are you passionate about making a difference? Do you dream of running a successful nonprofit but feel overwhelmed? Then you need to be introduced to the Logic Model Program Framework. It is your resource for mapping out your programs, which are the heartbeat of your organization. Have you ever taken a road trip? You knew exactly where you were going and what to expect. You knew what type of clothes to take. Did you need sunglasses or warm weather? Were you going to a conference and needed a suit? Or did you need those casual clothes? Were you going to fly or drive? Also, how much money did you need to take for this trip? Where were you going to stay? And who is doing all this planning? This is how you develop your planning process for any trip that you might take. It's something you do all the time. And just know, because you went through this, it's a planning process. Planning is key. Hi, this is Dr. Victoria Boyd, author, content writer, trainer, and the founder of the Philanthropreneur Foundation. I'm excited to be here with you today, and even more excited to present to you the concept of logic model program planning. Why do you need to understand about the logic model? Because your programs are the heartbeat of your organization. So as we go through all of these details, you're going to see why your organization must understand and implement the Logic Model Program Planning Framework. Why don't we get started? The Logic Model Program Planning Framework, the nonprofit road to success. Your programs are the heartbeat of your organization. They're the heartbeat of every nonprofit organization. So what is the logic model? It maps out the internal needs that your organization needs to provide and the external impact, what your community wants to know. But here's another reason why you need to utilize the logic model. 90% of grantors and funders require it. If you've ever done a grant, there's specific questions that they ask you about. What is your impact? What is the evaluation? How are you assessing it? All of these details are included in the logic model framework. So this is one of the biggest reasons why you need to map out all of your programs in the logic model. Many people say we haven't used it because it's just so confusing. But in this training, we're going to remove the complexity and the confusion. You're going to learn a roadmap for effective program planning. So what is it? What is this whole logic model program planning framework? First of all, there are two types of logic models. Theory approach. Actually, there's three types of logic models. There's the theory approach, which is conceptual, and it emphasizes the theory of change. If we do this, then we'll receive this, or this will happen. That's a program design. Then there's activities approach, where the activities and the relationships are detailed in step-by-steps. This really helps with program management and implementation. But what we're going to focus on is the outcomes approach. Every nonprofit needs to talk about the impact that they're having in their community. Therefore, this approach, this framework will connect your resources and activities, your inputs, and you'll learn more about inputs in a minute, with the outcomes and impacts, your program evaluation. So it is a more inclusive format and framework. And this is why we use this in the nonprofit sector. So what are some of the key elements of the logic model framework? There are inputs. You're going to map out your resources needed in order to accomplish your goals, your mission. You're going to map out your outputs, that is, what activities or what we do. You're going to talk about who we reach, who are the participants, Who is your target audience? Then you're going to talk about the outcomes, the impact. This is the most important part of the framework. It's broken into 3 separate sections. Learning, we call that short-term changes in participants because they're going to learn a specific thing, and that short-term learning is the first impact. You're helping them learn something. But it's then the second or mid-term or medium-term impact is where they take that education, that knowledge, and they use it. They take action. They use the results of the short-term outcome. And then finally, by using and taking action, they are creating long-term impact or changes in the conditions that you are focused on within your mission. All of these work together. All of them create a framework. Let us show you what it looks like. This is the framework. It's a visual map, and it's your program action. We start over here on the left-hand side with the problem statement. Now, this problem statement is clearly defining what you're trying to solve, what changes you're trying to create, the needs and the assets, the symptoms. You're going to create a clear problem statement. Now you would think that you might jump to the next column where it says input, but actually in this framework, you're going to go all the way over to outcomes. As we mentioned when we were taking the trip earlier, you know where you're going, and that helps you determine what you need. If you're going to an island and the beaches, you need those bathing suits, and you need the sunglasses and the sun hats and all of those things. You have to determine if you're going to use an airplane or a car to get there, how much money you need, where you're staying. All of those are commonplace items, the process of planning a trip. Think of this in the same way. You're going to create and outline what outcomes you want to happen. That's your vision. That's your mission. And the impact you want to see in whether it's the social society, whether it's economic, civic, environmental, those are the outcomes and impacts you want to have. So we start there. Once you have all of your outlines, your impact outcomes outlined, now it's going to be so much easier to talk about your outputs. That is, what are you going to do to accomplish and create those impact statements? Is it going to be a workshop or meetings? Are you going to deliver services? Are you going to develop a product or curriculum and resources? Are you going to train people, provide counseling, facilitate partnerships, work with media? All of those are the activities that you might do to accomplish and reach your outcomes and impact. And then that will determine who your participants are. Who do you reach? Are they going to be attendees at a workshop? Are they actual clients where you're delivering services? Are you working with other agencies or decision makers? All of these will be determined by the outcomes and impact. Finally, once you've decided what you're doing, now you can decide what you need. That's your impact. What you will invest. Is it staff, volunteers? Is it time and money? Do you need to do research? Are you going to provide the materials and your equipment? Do you need to find a venue to hold workshops? Do you need more technology? Do you need more partners? All of these will map out what you need to provide and invest in order to accomplish your activities for the participants that you've identified. So ultimately, you will reach your outcomes and show impact. It's so clear when you look at it in this visual map. There's a few other things that generally are missing when people map out their programs. And that's down here where it talks about the external factors that might impact. Do you need to really boost up your media to reach some of your target audience? What are some of the assumptions that you're making about your participants or your clients? All of those need to be thought about as you're developing your outputs and then what inputs you need to put to invest in. Then finally, this is what really rounds out this entire framework and makes it so valuable. It's the evaluation. You're going to map out how you're going to evaluate, whether it's qualitative, quantitative, is it during the activity itself? Is it afterwards, a summative, where you're summarizing what happened? All of this is included in the framework, and you map out your programs in this framework. Each program would be put into their individual framework, so you might end up with several of them. So let's talk about the key benefits of the logic model. First of all, you're going to have improved program design and planning. The planning will become so much easier because there's a roadmap for you. All you have to do is basically fill in the blanks and really make decisions based on true impact and outcomes. It's really going to help you create effective resource allocation. You're going to know exactly what you need, where you might have some gaps, how you might need to fill in those gaps with other partners or volunteers. It's going to enhance your communication for funding and marketing because you are going to be able to clearly state what your impact in the community is. And both marketing and fundraising needs clear communication. You're going to have a stronger evaluation and assessment process. In those grants, when it asks for what are your outcomes, who do you serve, you're going to have true data to be able to use for your grants and fundraising. Finally, it's going to really enhance your organizational learning and growth. Everyone in your organization will truly understand what your program is about. If they're in marketing, they're going to know how to position that content so that they can really attract, whether it's donors or people to your events, they're going to know how to use it. So organization, learning, and growth, it will also help with some recruiting of new board members, volunteers, or just letting the community in on what you're doing. So let's recap all of the values of the logic model. 90% of funders require it. So that's almost a no-brainer. You have to have your framework in place. You're going to have enhanced fundraising and marketing tools, things to use for all of those ongoing efforts that you're doing to raise funds. Improve program design and planning. You're going to really be able to put a handle on your budget because you're going to be very effective in your resource allocation. You're going to have stronger evaluation and assessment, and you're going to have increased accountability and transparency. All of these are vital in the nonprofit sector. These are what the community looks for. These are what sponsors and donors want to see. So it's all in one package for you through the logic model. Remember, the logic model program planning framework works on the heartbeat of your organization, your programs. So why am I here today? First of all, you need to get the training you need today. It will totally help you. You're going to learn how to design your program's framework. You're going to learn how to integrate and use it across organizational departments. It will show you how to involve other people in the process. We offer it through virtual, which is on demand. That means You go, you click the button, and you have immediate access to the training, which includes worksheets and a workbook. Or we have a virtual live session where I, your facilitator, will provide training to your group. Your organization can get specific training just for your organization. All of these are available, and you can find what you need at the website that you're about to get. But for the Nonprofit Excellence Summit attendees, you're going to get 50% off all of these different training formats for the next 7 days. That means you can grab the discount now and then get with your team and schedule a training anytime within the next 6 months, 180 days. I know it takes time to bring together board members and your marketing people, your fundraising and your development officers, but these are some of the key stakeholders that need to learn about this framework. So grab either the on-demand training where you can watch it right now, or grab the live team training, and the code that you're going to get will be effective for both of those trainings. NAD, Nonprofit Awareness Day 50, NAD 50. You can find the training formats at drvictoriaboyd.com/LMPP. That's for Logic Model Program Planning. Remember, 50% off all of the training the next 7 days. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. I hope this information has been valuable, and I hope to see you in some of the training. I'm here to assist. I'm Dr. Victoria Boyd, founder of the Philanthropreneur Foundation.